What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. I had some quick thoughts about yesterday's joint practice and what that can mean for the Panthers game, specifically around Will McDonald, right? So, one of the highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to call it from yesterday's practice was all of the scuffles, right? The arguments, the you know, people threw hands yesterday as well, right? One of the focal players at the center of that was Michael Clemons. Michael Clemons threw some punches at running back Mike Boone, and we know that Sauce Gardner already emphasized the week prior anybody getting into fights was going to deal with some severe repercussions. Now, what are those consequences? I would make an educated guess that Robert Saleh he can kill two birds with one stone. We'll get into the consequences here in a minute. Here's the thought process. Will McDonald is a player that we don't really know what we're getting, right? We know last year was underrated based on him being a first rounder, expecting him to have more opportunities than what he did. I'm pretty sure what I keep recalling is that he had one of the lowest snap counts of a first rounder in like the last decade or so, right? Or at least for the New York Jets since like Vernon Golston. Um, what that means is that we need to try to have an understanding of where our confidence level is with him, and I don't think we have that right now. Right, very before the pads came on, there wasn't really much to highlight with Will McDonald. I would even say that it's more on the negative side than anything because we expected him to come back in more of a Jermaine Johnson fashion, with him mentioning how he wants to transform his body, and that didn't occur, right? Maybe he gained a pound. Maybe. The good news is Robert Saleh did say he can obviously tell he's much, much stronger than what he was last year. So for the record, it is what it is. But since he's had pads on the last 3, 4, 5 practices or so, he's consistently got to the quarterback. He's consistently moved the pocket, gotten pressures, really impacted pass plays. One of the things I noticed from joint practice yesterday, though, is that you didn't really you seen the one-on-ones, we seen a spin move out of him which he won on, but there wasn't much else. And Salah's already highlighted that one thing to help him get on the field more often is once they can see him running through and past guys faces, they feel like he'll unlock his true potential, right? And I can't say that I've seen that just yet, even going back to the Commanders preseason game. So what better way to get an extended look for him without having to do anything crazy than holding your new culture to the standard that you're trying to set, right? Hold Clemens accountable. If it was a real game, he would be ejected. Sit him for this game. Clemens played 18 snaps last week, which was good for about 25%. McDonald played 12, which was good for about 17. Now, in theory, if you give McDonald all those snaps, he's playing about a half game worth of so or snaps or so. If you don't want to have him out there for that much, you can even give him a portion. Bump him up to around 20. He still gets his extended look. You hope to see a lot more out of him within those additional reps, both not only in the run game, which could still be a question mark, but also, of course, in the pass game, more importantly. And if you want to give, divvy up the rest of the, 8 to 10 snaps or so between Taylor and McGregor and Watts and all those other guys, you definitely can, right? There's a reason why we bring in so many defensive linemen in the offseason. But this would be my reasoning. And it's interesting because Will McDonald is really still an enigma for us, right? As a first rounder, he still kind of gets talked about highly within the building, but I think us as fans, when you see tape breakdowns, when you hear analysts talk about him, it's still very much so in hushed tone. So if there's going to be a breakout game for Will McDonald this offseason, he has the perfect opportunity right now, especially considering the Panthers have a bit of a banged up line. They still have an unknown, right? A fresh offense coming in, new head coach. There's a number of factors that should benefit Will McDonald here. So let's see if he gets it, right? I don't know if we'll hear an announcement or anything that actually happens, but if you see a spike in his snap count after the game, this would most likely be the reason, right? Clemens got sat as a consequence, and Will McDonald and others were able to benefit. So also keep in mind, real quick, as we wrap this up, Clemens himself, as I mentioned, is on the roster bubble, so this wouldn't be the best thing for his prospects. of making the team. So we'll have to see how he can bounce back from this as well. But let me know what you guys think. What are your expectations for Will McDonald as the preseason kicks off? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.